Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you really are. Predictability is the silent executioner of power. When rivals can read you, they own you. When your habits march in straight lines, they prepare ambushes before you even step forward. You think you are in control, but the truth is that every pattern you repeat hands your opponent the map to your next move. Predictability is the enemy, and you must learn to turn it against itself. Imagine the battlefield. One general moves his army in the same formation, same timing, same path. The enemy needs no spies. His predictability is the spy. He enters the field certain of victory, but he is walking straight into traps set days earlier. His downfall was not weakness in weapons, but weakness in imagination. His flaw was being readable. The same principle applies when you sit across from a hiring manager, negotiate with a client, or navigate conflict in a relationship. If they know your rhythm, they can press exactly where you are soft. Everyday life trains you into predictability. Algorithms on your phone know when you scroll, what you like, even what you will likely buy next. Colleagues learn how you react under pressure, and partners notice what triggers you. Patterns give them leverage. Break them before they break you. Shift routines. Pause before you answer. Refuse to signal the move you are about to make. When you are unreadable, the field tilts back into your favor. This does not mean becoming erratic. It means becoming deliberate. You choose when to speak, when to hold silence, when to advance, and when to stand still. Predictability enslaves you to others' expectations. Unpredictability frees you to command. In a disagreement, for example, most people rush to defend themselves with volume. Weak, you're wrong. Strong, I see it differently. Here's my position. Calm authority breaks the script they expected and resets the balance of power. Every chain begins as a repeated action, and every repeated action is a path traced by others. Do not walk paths that can be mapped. Do not move in rhythms that can be rehearsed by your opponents. Strike once, wait twice, then strike from the shadow. Your survival and sovereignty rest on one law. Make them predict you wrong. Your mind is your throne, and if you fail to guard it, others will sit on it. Power does not begin with armies or wealth. It begins with the discipline of thought. Those who cannot defend the fortress of their own mind are predictable, and predictable men are controlled. Sovereignty is first won in silence, where you choose which thoughts rule and which are cast out. Cognitive biases make people easy to read. You are pulled toward what feels safe, what feels familiar, what feels flattering. That pull is the chain of predictability. Self-awareness is the sword that cuts it. Notice how you react when challenged, when praised, when ignored. Most people answer on instinct, and those instincts are visible patterns that give enemies their script. Break that script. Pause, observe, and then decide as a sovereign would, not as a servant of reflex. In the digital age, predictability is a product sold to the highest bidder. Algorithms chart your desires, your timing, even your moods. Social media knows when you grow restless, when you crave validation, when you are ready to spend. Every scroll is a soldier surrendering the gate of your mind. If you move in patterns, you are mapped. If you are mapped, you are targeted. Break the cycle. Vary your actions. Refuse to let machines or people chart your rhythm. Command your own. Time instead of being programmed by others. Picture your mind as a castle under siege. Watchtowers scan for threats, but the gates are often left open by routine. Enemies study your habits, waiting for the hour you grow careless. They know when you speak too quickly, when you over-explain, when you seek approval. Close the gates. Do not show the same move twice. A fortress is respected not because it looks strong, but because it cannot be entered. Your unpredictability is the wall. Defend the throne by training your responses. In conflict, where most people rush to anger, step into composure. Weak, you always do this. Strong, here is what I will allow, and here is what I will not. Calm authority rewrites the battlefield. It confuses those who expected your temper and forces them into uncertainty. You are no longer reacting, you are ruling. Guard your mind, break your habits, command your rhythm. Every fortress begins with walls, and the wall of power is unpredictable. Your mind is your throne, defend it with strategy. The morning is your first battlefield, and the way you enter it determines whether you command the day or surrender it. Predictability begins here. If your enemies, rivals, or competitors can forecast your first steps, they can set traps before you even leave the gates. Victory requires controlled chaos, not rigid obedience to the same script. You must train yourself to move differently, to begin differently, to refuse the chains of routine that make you a target. Generals understood this long before the modern world. Armies that marched on the same schedule were easy prey. Commanders who shifted their timing, who launched attacks at dawn one day and at dusk the next, forced their enemies to stay restless and uncertain. Discipline was never about moving like machines. It was about keeping control while remaining unreadable. Military history teaches that predictability kills faster than fatigue. It is not the strongest army that always wins, but the one that cannot be forecast. Yet today, people worship predictable routines as if they are sacred. Productivity culture tells you to wake at the same hour, drink the same coffee, repeat the same rituals every morning. While consistency builds discipline, rigidity breeds weakness. If your rhythm is known by others, you're exposed. Algorithms already anticipate your wake-up times, your first clicks, your morning distractions. When every action is charted, the day belongs not to you, but to those who have mapped you. Break the cycle. Vary your approach. Train adaptability as deliberately as you train discipline. Picture two kings. The first marches at the same hour every morning. His soldiers know the rhythm, but so do his enemies. The second shifts his movements. Some days he rides at sunrise, others at nightfall. His unpredictability keeps his foes unsettled and his court vigilant. One is prey because his path is known. The other predator because his steps cannot be read. Which are you when you rise? Do you march into the same traps, or do you command the field by refusing to be predictable? Take command of your battlefield. Change the order of your actions. Do not let your first hour become an open book. Replace routine worship with flexible strength. Your enemies, whether they are rivals, systems, or your own temptations, cannot plan against a rhythm they cannot measure. Troll the chaos. Begin with sovereignty, not submission. The morning is your battlefield. Win it with unpredictability. Power is not always in the strike. Often it is in the stillness before the strike, the silence that unsettles, the pause that makes others question what you will do next. Predictability lives in constant noise. Sovereignty lives in controlled silence. The ability to hold still, to wait with intention, is a weapon sharper than any blade. The samurai had a concept called ma, the space between actions. It was not emptiness, but mastery of timing. A warrior who swung too quickly revealed desperation. A warrior who knew how to wait forced his opponent to reveal weakness first. The same principle governs strategy across cultures. Control the interval, and you control the outcome. Stillness is not inaction, it is preparation for decisive action. When you master the pause, you dictate the rhythm of the battle. Modern life punishes stillness. In conversation, people rush to fill silence. In negotiation, most fear the pause more than the rejection. Yet the pause itself is power. When you delay your answer, you force the other side to reveal their urgency. They may offer more, explain more, or retreat from their position. You, by holding silence, gain leverage without raising your voice. In a disagreement at work, for example, when someone challenges your idea, do not rush into defense. Let the silence hang. Weak. No, you're wrong. Strong. I hear you. Let me respond carefully. That gap changes the entire field. Stillness is also the predator's weapon. The tiger crouches in tall grass, silent, unseen, muscles coiled. Prey may sense danger but cannot read the moment. That uncertainty creates fear. The strike that follows is powerful because it was preceded by silence. Human strategy works the same. If others cannot read your pace, if they cannot measure when you will act, they cannot trap you. Stillness confuses their timing and forces them into mistakes. Weaponize silence in your own life. In meetings, pause before speaking. In conflict, wait before answering. In decision-making, create intervals where you are not rushed by the tempo of others. Stillness unsettles the predictable, strengthens your composure, and turns time into your ally. Where most collapse under silence, you grow stronger. Do not mistake pause for weakness. It is a calculation. It is choosing when to let the enemy move first, when to let pressure mount, when to unleash your strike. The throne belongs to the one who does not panic, the one who commands the tempo of every exchange. Stillness is the sword hidden in silence. Rulers fall when their habits betray their plans. That is the core warning. The moment your patterns become visible, your strategy is no longer yours. Every habit leaves a trail, and every trail can be followed. If you do not cut away the obvious moves, others will chart your rhythm, anticipate your decisions, and turn your strengths into weapons against you. Sovereignty demands ruthless elimination of what makes you readable. Predictability often hides inside daily behaviors that seem harmless. You reply to messages at the same time, post online in the same rhythm, or handle work problems with the same tone. To you, it feels like consistency. To others, it becomes a script. Once they know your timing, they can provoke you at will. Once they know your reactions, they can bait you into mistakes. If someone can anticipate how you will answer before you speak, you have already surrendered the throne. Cut the repetition that gives them certainty. In the digital world, your predictability is even more dangerous. Algorithms track your patterns of texting, scrolling, and even pausing. Colleagues may notice you always leave the office at the same time. Rivals may see you always defend yourself with too many words. These habits may feel small, but together they form a map of your mind. That map is power in the hands of others. Destroy the map, shift your timing, shorten your responses. Break the cycle before it becomes your cage. The chessboard illustrates this truth with ruthless clarity. A predictable player is easy prey. Their openings can be memorized, their mid-game anticipated, their endgame cornered. The great masters sacrifice pieces, not only to gain ground, but to dismantle the patterns their opponents expect. They kill the obvious moves, so their rivals lose the ability to read them. You must do the same. Sacrifice the behaviors that make you transparent, even if they feel comfortable. Authority is never built on comfort, it is built on control. In a disagreement, the predictable path is defensiveness. Weak. That's not fair. Strong. Here is what I can commit to. Here is what I will not accept. The first response gives away emotion and makes you easy to counter. The second eliminates ambiguity while keeping power in your hands. Cutting the obvious move does not mean cutting honesty. It means cutting weakness disguised as honesty. Ruthless elimination is discipline. It is the courage to strip away the habits that make you simple to read. You do not need to be mysterious for the sake of appearance. You need to be unreadable for the sake of survival. The sovereign is not the one who moves most often, but the one who cannot be predicted. Cut the obvious moves or be ruled by them. Power does not come from revealing everything. Power comes from concealment, from wearing the right mask while your true intentions remain hidden. Those who rule without disguise are overthrown by those who study them. Those who rule with masks create confusion, command respect, and keep their enemies blind, appear one way, move another. This is not deceit for its own sake, it is survival. History shows this clearly. Julius Caesar charmed Rome with generosity, theater, and words of friendship. He appeared as the servant of the people reluctant to seize power. Yet beneath the charm was ruthless ambition, carefully masked until the decisive moment. By the time his opponents realized the truth, he had already crossed the Rubicon and secured control. Caesar's lesson endures. Charm was the mask, conquest was the intent. Authority is built on the ability to show the world only what you choose, never what you truly hold. Modern leaders understand the same principle. In corporations, perception is as vital as execution. A company may present itself as cautious while secretly preparing bold expansion. An executive may appear agreeable in meetings while negotiating aggressively behind closed doors. Masks protect strategies from being exposed before they are ready. The world sees the role, not the ruler. Without the mask, power becomes vulnerable. To attack criticism and sabotage before it is strong enough to withstand them. Protect your strategies with the armor of appearance. Picture the throne room of a sovereign. His court studies his every gesture, every glance, every breath, trying to predict his favor or disfavor. But he gives them only what he intends them to see. They bow not to the man, but to the mask. This is not a weakness, it is a command. By deciding what is visible and what remains hidden, he rules perception as well as reality. You must do the same in your life. Choose your mask deliberately. Show composure when you are calculating. Show patience when you are planning. Never allow rivals to see the map of your true design. In disagreement, this power is decisive. Weak. I'm upset, and here's why. Strong. I understand your position, and here's what matters to me. The first strips you bear, easy to read, easy to counter. The second cloaks your emotions while directing the exchange with authority. The mask gives you control of the tempo. Do not confuse masks with lies. A lie corrodes credibility. A mask protects sovereignty. The difference is intent. You are not inventing illusions, you are guarding truth until the moment it serves you best. Command requires this balance. Reveal only when it strengthens your position. Conceal whenever it preserves your throne. Appear one way, move another. This is how predators hunt, how kings survive, how rulers shape the field. You decide what is seen, and by that choice you command. Rule perception, and reality bends to you. Your first reflex is your greatest weakness. The instant reply, the quick defense, the automatic reaction. These are the patterns that make you predictable. To feint effectively, you must kill them. You must train an inner assassin whose only mission is to cut down the impulses that betray you. Power belongs not to the one who moves first, but to the one who moves with control. Psychology explains this in habit loops. A trigger sparks a behavior, and the behavior repeats until it becomes automatic. You are praised, so you rush to please. You are challenged, so you rush to defend. Each loop makes you easier to read, easier to provoke, easier to defeat. Breaking. That loop requires awareness and interruption. When you feel the reflex rise, pause. Interrupt the sequence, replace reaction with deliberate action. This is the first kill of the inner assassin, slaying the script that others expect you to follow. Modern life rewards quickness, but punishes predictability. Messaging apps, social media, and constant alerts tempt you to respond instantly. That instant reply feels like efficiency, but it exposes you. It shows your availability, your eagerness, your lack of control. Oversharing does the same. When you spill every thought, others collect data on you. When your emotions are obvious, others learn which strings to pull. Every time you give yourself away, you weaken your throne. Command yourself. Delay your response. Reveal less than you feel. Hold your emotions as a sovereign holds his guards, released only when useful, never when demanded. Picture the assassin within. Silent, cloaked, moving only when necessary. His blade cuts away the instinct to overreact, the urge to explain too much, the habit of answering too soon. He leaves behind a cleaner, sharper presence. When the world expects you to rush, you wait. When they expect you to argue, you stand calm. When they expect confession, you give precision. Each cut removes weakness and leaves authority. In a disagreement, predictable reflexes destroy credibility. Weak. That's not true, you don't understand me. Strong. Here is what matters, and here is where I stand. The first reveals insecurity. The second projects command. By killing the reflex, you hold the higher ground. You do not let your opponent dictate your tone or your timing. You rule the exchange because you refuse to be ruled by impulse. This discipline is ruthless, but liberating. The more reflexes you eliminate, the harder you are to read. The harder you are to read, the more leverage you command. A sovereign cannot afford to move like a servant. You must cut away what is obvious, predictable, and exploitable. Your inner assassin must kill without hesitation, so that you may rule. Without chains. Kill reflex, command response, rule with control. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. That truth cuts to the heart of power. Love can dissolve with time, but fear endures because it sharpens attention. To feed the wolf within you is not to become savage, but to train ferocity, so it is controlled, precise, and strategic. Without teeth, unpredictability is an illusion. With teeth, it is a weapon. Controlled ferocity is essential because aggression without discipline destroys credibility. Leaders throughout history who raged at every insult lost respect, while those who displayed anger only at decisive moments carved authority into the minds of followers and rivals alike. Ferocity must be rationed like fire. Too little, and you are dismissed as weak. Too much, and you are dismissed as unstable. The balance is the art, enough to command respect, never so much that you lose the throne you are defending. Modern leadership reflects this same principle. A manager who smiles endlessly, never raising their voice, is easy to overlook. One who explodes daily becomes a spectacle, not a leader, but the one who shows calm control most of the time and then reveals fire when the stakes demand it shifts the entire room. People remember those rare flashes. They adjust their behavior because they cannot predict when the fire will surface again. Your unpredictability gains force when it carries the possibility of ferocity. It keeps rivals guessing whether your silence is patience or preparation for strike. Picture the wolf pack. Most of the time, the alpha is quiet, conserving strength, conserving authority. But when challenged, the display is sudden and sharp. Bared teeth, a snap of command, an undeniable warning. The pack falls back in line, not because of constant aggression, but because of selective ferocity. You must show fangs at chosen moments, not at every slight, not at every conflict, but when a boundary needs to be enforced. Your restraint makes your intensity heavier when it is unleashed. In a disagreement, this discipline matters. Weak, you never respect me. Strong, this ends here. Here is my boundary. The first reveals insecurity and invites further challenge. The second channels fire with clarity, leaving no room for debate. Ferocity must be paired with brevity. The more words you use, the weaker your presence becomes. The wolf does not explain, it's bite. It shows, and that is enough. Feeding the wolf does not mean becoming consumed by it. The sovereign does not snarl at every subject. He chooses when to let the court feel his power. Aggression must never be your default. It must be your reserve. A tool you reach for when unpredictability must have sharp edges. Controlled ferocity keeps you unreadable because no one knows when silence will turn to fire. Do not starve the wolf and do not let it run wild. Train it, command it. Let its presence live behind your mask, ready but restrained. When the moment comes to shift hierarchy, bare your teeth. When respect is threatened, let the fire show. Your unpredictability will not only confuse, it will terrify. Show calm, strike with fire, rule through fear and respect. Life is a chessboard, and the one who masters the feint dictates the game. Strategy is not only about strength, but about creating miscalculation in the mind of your opponent. Those who see only the obvious move lose to those who hide their true plan behind sacrifice and deception. Power lies in making others predict wrong. History proves this. Hannibal at sea. Cannae lured the Romans by presenting weakness in the center of his line. They advanced eagerly, believing they had broken him, only to be surrounded and destroyed from the sides. It was not brute force that won, but deception. Sun Tzu taught the same principle centuries earlier. Appear weak when you are strong, strong when you are weak. When your enemy acts on a false reading, you win before the clash even begins. The lesson is timeless. Victory belongs to the one who bends perception, not to the one who merely pushes harder. In modern life, the same principle shapes competition. Startups with fewer resources often topple giants by refusing to play predictably. They move in ways incumbents do not expect, offering products in overlooked markets, changing pricing models, or using agility as a weapon. The larger opponent assumes the game will follow familiar rules. By the time they realize the rules have shifted, the smaller player has already captured ground. This is a feint in business form, drawing attention one way while the real move is made elsewhere. You must apply the same discipline in your own life. Stop announcing every plan. Stop moving in straight lines. Picture yourself on the board. Your rival watches your knight. Convinced it is your weapon of choice, you sacrifice it. They celebrate, blind to the queen sliding into position for the checkmate. This is the essence of the feint. You give away something visible, an expected reaction, a predictable gesture, so that your real intention remains unseen. Your opponent wastes energy, convinced they understand you, while you prepare the decisive strike. In conversation, this art is powerful. If someone confronts you expecting instant defensiveness, do not give it. Weak. That's not true, I never fail at this. Strong. Interesting. Show me your reasoning. The first move is predictable and exploitable. The second is unexpected. It changes the rhythm and places control back in your hands. You have sacrificed the impulse to defend so that you can seize the stronger position of command. To master the chessboard of life, you must train yourself to think beyond the immediate move. Plan not for the first reaction, but for the third. The fourth, the hidden strike that others do not see coming. Most people live in one move, the sovereign lives in 10. The feint is the art of buying time, reshaping perception, and leading opponents into mistakes they believe were victories. Do not rush to prove strength directly. Do not waste energy trying to crush every resistance head-on. Make others miscalculate. Make them commit resources to illusions. Make them celebrate premature wins. Then strike where they did not guard. Win not by force alone, but by the art of misdirection. Unpredictability cannot survive without nerves of iron. If you collapse, under pressure, your strategies dissolve. To hold silence when others demand answers, to delay when others expect reaction, to move in ways no one can forecast, you must have a will forged hard enough to endure uncertainty without breaking. The difference between those who rule and those who serve is not talent but tolerance for tension. The Stoics trained this truth into themselves. They practiced voluntary discomfort, exposing body and mind to controlled hardship so fortune could not surprise them. They walked barefoot in winter, ate simple food when wealth was available, or endured ridicule without retaliation. The purpose was not punishment but resilience. If you can choose difficulty in private, you can withstand difficulty in public. When unpredictability requires you to stand apart from the herd, your will must already be tempered against fear of judgment or loss. Modern athletes apply the same principle in their own domain. They train in chaos so that competition feels steady. Basketball players practice with loud distractions. Fighters prepare by simulating exhaustion before the match. Soldiers drill until stress responses become discipline. The body learns to stay calm when others panic. You must do the same in your life. If you want to master unpredictability, place yourself in situations that test your patience, your silence, and your composure. Practice waiting when you want to rush. Practice restraint when you want to explain. Train until uncertainty feels familiar. Picture the blacksmith forging steel. The blade is heated, hammered and cooled again and again until it no longer bends. Your nerves must go through the same ritual. Every pause you endure under pressure, every silence you hold while others fill the air, every boundary you enforce, without apology. These are the hammer strikes. With repetition, the fragile self shatters, and what remains is unshakable. In conflict, this discipline shows its worth. When someone challenges you directly, the reflex is to defend yourself quickly. Weak. That's not true, you don't understand me. Strong. I hear your point. Here is my position. The first betrays nerves. The second reveals composure. Iron will is not aggression. It is a presence that does not tremble when tested. Your opponent cannot predict you because you refuse. To move under pressure, train your nerves daily. Step into discomfort deliberately. Delay gratification even when it is within reach. Refuse to explain yourself when silence serves you better. Each small act of discipline strengthens the wall around your sovereignty. Most people are broken not by attack, but by their own impatience. The sovereign is not. He can wait with stillness, strike with precision, and rule without yielding to pressure. Unpredictability without strength is fragile. Strength without unpredictability is blunt. When iron sustains the feint, no one can corner you. Forge your will until no pressure can break you. The highest form of power is untouchability. When rivals cannot predict you, they cannot strike you. When they cannot strike you, they waste energy swinging at shadows. Sovereignty is not only about ruling the field, it is about becoming unreadable to the point where attacks dissolve before they land. The final stage of unpredictability is miscalculation. Others think they know you, but every move they expect becomes the one you never make. History shows the strength of this principle. Napoleon thrived by moving faster than anyone, anticipated. His enemies believed he was far, only to face him suddenly at their gates. Genghis Khan spread terror across empires by appearing where no one thought possible, using feints, false retreats, and sudden strikes to fracture armies larger than his own. Their unpredictability made them untouchable. They did not need invincible armies. They needed enemies who could never calculate correctly. The same truth applies to your life. The less predictable you are, the harder it is for others to trap you. In the modern world, untouchability is built in smaller but equally decisive ways. If colleagues always know when you will say yes, they exploit it. If competitors always know how you will respond, they use it. When you remove predictability, others waste their strength trying to guess. They prepare for an argument that never comes. They set traps for a move you never make. Their energy burns away while you conserve yours. Miscalculation becomes your shield. Unreadability becomes your armor. Picture the throne room. The sovereign sits in shadow, his expression calm, his intentions concealed. Courtiers whisper, guessing his favor, gambling their futures on interpretations that may or may not be true. He does not reveal. He does not move according to their expectations. By staying unreadable, he rules them without lifting a sword. They miscalculate, and he profits from their errors. You must carry the same posture. Let others talk. Let them predict. Then act in a way that nullifies their preparation. In conflict, this discipline changes everything. Weak, you always know I'll forgive this. Strong, this time it ends here. The first chains you to predictability. The second shatters it. When you stop moving by reflex, you force others into uncertainty. They cannot plan around a sovereign who does not repeat old patterns. To become untouchable, train yourself to resist the need for constant explanation. Guard your intentions. Choose your reveals. Let people miscalculate your silence, your timing, your presence. Every wasted guess strengthens your throne. Authority is not about striking more often. It is about making others wrong every time they think they have you cornered. This is sovereignty through miscalculation. Not by brute resistance, not by constant battle, but by mastering the art of unreadability, until every attempt to reach you collapses in confusion. Be unseen, be unreadable, be untouchable. Power belongs to those who can surprise. That is Machiavelli's reminder, and it is the foundation of every throne ever built. The final form of sovereignty is not wealth or armies or even fear. It is unreadability. When no one can predict you, they cannot control you. When no one can control you, they cannot touch you. The ultimate feint is not a single move on the board. It is a way of existing, a way of carrying yourself as the predator who shapes the game by shaping the expectations of everyone else. Look at history's conquerors and rulers. Their advantage was not always numbers or resources, it was the capacity to move in ways no one saw coming. Hannibal crossed the Alps when no one thought it possible. Napoleon shattered coalitions by arriving days earlier than expected. Genghis Khan pretended to retreat, then struck from hidden angles to annihilate larger forces. Pride turned weakness into strength. The feint transformed limits into weapons. The same principle governs every battlefield, whether it is an empire, a company, or a personal negotiation. The crown is not given to the predictable. It is taken by the one who teaches others to misread every sign. Modern battlefields prove this further. Warfare today is not just fought with tanks and soldiers, but with perception. Disinformation campaigns, controlled leaks, sudden strikes, and shifting narratives all operate on one law. Force your opponent to guess wrong. Politics functions in the same manner. Leaders who control perception control outcomes because rivals waste resources reacting to shadows. It is not only about what is done, but about what is believed to be done. The sovereign plays not just with power, but with the image of power, masking true moves behind carefully chosen illusions. You must apply this principle in your own sphere. In business, the startup that topples a giant does not do so by imitating the giant's moves. It does so by introducing angles the larger rival cannot anticipate. In personal life, the one who cannot be cornered is the one who refuses to respond, the same way twice. The enemy of sovereignty is repetition. The ally of sovereignty is the feint. Do not fight battles where others expect you. Do not respond in the way they anticipate. Appear weak when you are strong, calm when you are angry, unbothered when you are calculating. Picture the predator in the wild. The tiger does not broadcast its strike. It disappears into stillness, blending into shadow. Prey grows restless, sensing danger but unable to see it. The moment they believe the path is clear is the moment the predator explodes from the unseen angle. The kill is certain, not because of brute force, but because of misdirection. This is the crown jewel of strategy, the capacity to decide not only when to strike, but how others will miscalculate your timing. This discipline carries into every interaction. In disagreement, most people show their emotions immediately. Weak. You don't respect me, and I won't stand for it. Strong. I've heard your view, here's what changes now. The first is transparent, revealing insecurity and predictability. The second is sharp, commanding and unreadable. By controlling your reveals, you gain leverage. By choosing when to display fire and when to conceal it, you create doubt in your opponent's mind. Doubt is the weapon of the unreadable. Becoming the unreadable predator requires iron will. It means silencing reflexes, destroying habits, guarding your true intentions, and feeding your inner wolf only at chosen times. It means treating life as a chessboard, where every move is not about the piece itself, but about what it convinces the other side to see. You cannot achieve sovereignty through brute force alone. You achieve it by teaching the world that every attempt to read you is a miscalculation. This is the convergence of all principles. The throne is not just defended with strength, it is defended with mystery. The predator is not feared because of its claws alone. It is feared because it cannot be seen until it decides to be. The chess master is not respected for the first move, but for the trap set 10 moves ahead. The sovereign is not powerful because he speaks loudly, but because no one knows which silence hides fire. The final form of power is unreadability. If others cannot predict you, they cannot stop you. If they cannot stop you, they cannot touch you, and if they cannot touch you, you rule. Disappear, mislead, strike unseen, rule as the unreadable predator. Every predictable action is a chain. Every habit you never question becomes a cage others can use to hold you. If they know when you will respond, how you will react, and where you will move, then you are not sovereign. You are a servant of their foresight. The crown belongs to the one who makes others misread, miscalculate, and stumble into traps of their own creation. Predictability is slavery. Unreadability is freedom. Machiavelli understood this. Fortune favors the unpredictable because the world bends toward those who refuse to be simple. Men who always move cautiously are outpaced by the bold. Men who always move boldly are cornered by those who wait. But the ruler who changes shape, who bends between caution and audacity, between silence and fire, becomes untouchable. Fortune cannot bind what it cannot measure. In modern life, this law has not weakened, it has sharpened. Algorithms are built to chart your behavior, to turn you into a predictable product. Colleagues learn your triggers. Rivals learn your rhythms. The more you repeat yourself, the more they own you. The more you force miscalculation, the more leverage you hold. When others waste time preparing for the strike you never throw, their energy dies in the void you created. That is real control. Not reacting, not explaining, but shaping the entire field by breaking patterns before they break you. Think of the throne room. A sovereign who reveals every thought is ruled by his court. A sovereign who conceals, who shows only what he chooses, keeps them in a state of tension. They bow not only to his power, but to his mystery. You must practice the same in your interactions. Weak. Here's everything I plan to do. Strong. Here's what matters now. Watch the rest unfold. The first gives away control. The second commands it. Stop feeding your enemies the comfort of certainty. Shift your timing. Change your responses. Refuse to be read by those who think they know your playbook. Power comes not from being seen clearly, but from being misjudged deliberately. That is the essence of the feint. Confuse their sight. Break their rhythm and strike where they are weakest. Carry this law into every day of your life. Do not aim to be liked for your predictability. Aim to be respected for your unreadability. Respect flows not to the one who is transparent, but to the one who cannot be cornered. The throne belongs to the sovereign who knows when to vanish, when to appear and when to strike. Confuse their sight, break their patterns, rule through the feint.